There we go.
Good morning and welcome to the 2017 Sportisimo Prague Half Marathon. I'm David Monti, editor and publisher of Race Results Weekly, and I'm joined here in the commentary booth by Jim Moberly of RunCzech, the organizer of today's 19th annual race, an IAAF Gold Label event. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, David.
We've got a heck of a race here ready to go in just a few minutes. There's a field today of 11,500 runners, 56 elite men and women from 12 countries, helped by 8 pacemakers, will answer the starter's gun at 10 o'clock. Jim, the weather is just beautiful.
It's a beautiful day. It's scenic. It's blue skies. Temperature is reasonable. There's no wind. We couldn't ask for too much better conditions.
According to our readings here in the booth, it's 13 degrees Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit, with only moderate humidity and gentle winds. With the flat course here, Jim, I think expectations are high for fast times.
Right. I think, this is not the type of course you might get at RAC or somewhere, but it's a good course. It's only got the bridges and the little rises that go under the bridges, and we should have a good day.
Jim, what about the cobblestones here and the tram tracks in the course? Has that been a problem in the past?
Some of the athletes do complain. There are some few stretches, perhaps a couple of kilometers at most, of cobblestones on the course. And when you're running in these thin racing flats, you can feel them. But it has never hurt our course records, which are quite substantial, I would say.
Why don't we talk about a few statistics before we get going with the race here today. The course record is a blistering 58:47 by Etsedu Sagaya of Ethiopia. He ran that time in 2012, which was the last time I was here watching the race from the lead vehicle, so maybe that means something. And the women's course record was set last year, 105.51 by Violah Jepchumba, who's in the race today. That's a remarkable 3 minutes and 10 seconds per kilometer for a woman.
Well, she is a remarkable woman. And let's face it, she tends to go hard, and just if she lasts, it's going to be a very fast race. You know that.
Kenyan athletes have been very dominant at this event. In the previous 18 runnings, 15 times a man from Kenya has reached the top step of the podium, and 11 times the women's winner has been a Kenyan here.
Yeah, we have had a few years where there were some Ethiopian women like Worknesh Degefa who ran well here a couple of years ago, but primarily it's a Kenyan race. Up front.
And according to statistics compiled by the Association of Road Racing Statisticians, 13 times at the Sportisimo Prague Half Marathon, men have broken 60 minutes here. 42 times, men have broken 61 minutes here. That's pretty fast, Jim.
It is, and I think given conditions today, we should be looking for times under 1 hour.
And 8 times here, women have broke 68 minutes, which is very fast, and 32 times under 1:10.
And again, with the women that we have, there's our course. Quick look at the course. We do cross the river, the Vltava, which is the heart of Prague, old Prague. We do cross the river 6 times, and but primarily in order to stay flat, because Prague is in a valley surrounded by hills, you stay along the river.
You wouldn't want to run up to the castle.
No, not at all. Although it's a nice run, it doesn't produce the times that we would like.
So just to put things in perspective, the fastest half marathon so far in the world this year was a 59:10 run by Kenya's Bidan Karoki. at the Ras El Haima, or the RAC Half, on February 10th. And on the women's side, in that same race, Peres Jepchirchir, the World Half Marathon champion, broke the world record and ran 1:05:06, a spectacular performance.
She is spectacular. She really got her start here in international racing last year when she won 2 of our races out of the 7. So she's a friend of ours, and we're hoping to see her back this year.
The men's start list is on screen now, and a lot of excitement in the United States about Galen Rupp, who's going to be running here for the first time. We have some time to talk about him throughout the show, but he actually has the chance today to break 3 American records at 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and at the finish line, where he would like to beat Ryan Hall's 59:43, which is a 10-year-old record back from Houston in 2007.
I guess the big question on everyone's minds is just how hard is Galen willing to go today, judging from the fact that he has a marathon in 16 days in Boston, and that's a very important race for him. So we'll see.
And on the women's side, Violah Jepchumba, who is wearing F1, is our defending champion and course record holder.
And she is, as I said before, a very, very intense and talented runner. But she will have some competition from Joyciline. Joyciline's 1:06 in RAC is very. There on the screen is Shebrla, the former world record holder in the decathlon, the first man to score 9,000 points in the decathlon.
There's Galen Rupp right there. Quick shot there on the left was Daniele Meucci, the reigning European marathon champion. And we just have a couple of minutes before the start. Jim, pacemaking plays a big role in this race, and in fact, your wife, Jana, is the elite athlete coordinator, and she has 8 pacemakers helping the field. On the men's side, the first group is going to try to run at 2 minutes and 48 seconds per kilometer. So that will take us 14 minutes through 5K, 28 through 10K, 42 minutes through 15K, and 56 minutes through 20K. Jim, that's really moving.
It is, and you know, they're always looking for course records. And on a day like today, why not? It's the type of conditions that can produce the fast times.
And we have 2 men that will be pacing the lead women's group, looking for, again, a very fast time, targeting the course record here of 1:05:51. They're going to look at 15:30 for 5K, 31 at 10K, 46:30 at 15K, and 62 minutes at 20K.
That's a 1:05:50. So that is a 1 second under the course record, but I'm not sure that they'll be able to hold Viola to that. She has a tendency to run hard.
This is a magnificent start venue at Jan Pollock Square here in Old Town.
This is right next to the Rudolfinum, which is our headquarters, you might say, for this race, Jan Pollock Square. The announcers are doing their best to get the folks quieted down now as we're ready for the start pistol.
It's only 1 minute to the start.
I believe the mayor is going to fire the starting pistol, although we haven't seen her yet at the start.
That little island on the right of screen before is the VIP area. That looks like a very enticing place to watch this race. Just a few seconds now to the gun.
This race could be a lot larger, but you just can't fit more people on these old town streets.
The gun is up.
And they're off.
They're off. Jim, what are the first few kilometers like on this course?
Pretty much a straight shot. The music, by the way, in the background is Vltava by Smetana, and so it's very appropriate for this start. It's part of a suite called My Country. Yeah, the first part of the race is the first 2 kilometers basically are pretty much a straight shot, almost 3 kilometers. You do go down and do a little loop, and before you cross the first bridge over the Vltava. So between 3 and 4K, you will go across the first bridge, Palacheko, and head down towards the Parliament, and then back up long stretch along the river.
So, Jim, it's good to emphasize here as we watch the fun runners, here are our leaders, that there's a fair amount of money at stake here today in both prize money and bonuses. The winning man and woman will each earn 6,000 euros, but that number could be juiced up significantly for fast times. So on the men's side, a sub-59 winning time produces a bonus of 25,000 euro, which goes on top of these 6,000. And on the women's side, a sub-66.30 also delivers a 25,000 euro bonus.
I think that one's in danger.
In addition to that, there is a course record bonus of 6,000 euro that goes on top of that. So it could end up with a big payday here. And as Jana said in the technical meeting yesterday, as the runners head out, only in the first 2 minutes, that time matters here.
It does. And she tries to recruit so that there will be a group. So it's not a single effort. It's not some races around the world where you have 1 or 2 athletes. She has a group of people, plus a couple of pacemakers, that will take the race out. And if they work together, if they think about it and work together, they can do a 59 or even a 58, heaven forbid.
So on left of screen, you can see the men's leaders there as they establish the pace. Quite clearly you can see in the shot those tram tracks and some of the cobblestones that can be a little bit tricky here, so athletes need to watch their footing. That's Bernard Kamani and Josephat Kiptis, who are pacing in the front. Fascinating situation with Josephat Kiptis, that his coach is a para-Olympic athlete.
Ah. From Spain, I believe.
From Spain, yes.
Beautiful shot along the river.
So we should be getting some data soon to see how they're going on the pace. This lead group is looking to run right around 14 minutes through that first 5K. Jim, why don't you tell our audience what RunCzech means on the singlet of 2 fellows there in the lead?
Well, RunCzech Racing is an organization that was founded a few years ago by Zane Branson and Carlo Capalbo, who's the president of the RunCzech organizing committee. And the idea was to give some chance to some runners who may in the future be world-class athletes, but haven't had the chance to travel, haven't had a chance to get into races. So many of them have worked as pace setters, or they've been invited to smaller races, and they wear the RunCzech logo on their vest, and they get equipment from Adidas, and it gives them a chance to move up in the world. And a few of them have done very well. One of the, we're just passing Dancing House, Frank Geary's early effort here in Prague, which is a real landmark for most of the people, or most of the tourists who come to town in any case. But back to RunCzech racing, it's been very successful, and it's growing. And now we're starting to get, and the idea is to get runners from other countries other than Kenya. And at the press conference, you saw that Eva Vrabskova is now a member of RunCzech Racing, and so she's the first Czech to be in the organization.
And Eva Vrabtsova was an Olympic marathoner in Rio last year, but she was 3 times an Olympian in the Winter Olympics in cross-country skiing.
Yeah, we hadn't, I hadn't thought about that in the past. There's our lead women. I hadn't thought about that, but cross-country skiing seems to be really good training for running.
Yes, it is. In America, Ben True was a cross-country skier at Dartmouth, and now is one of the country's best elite runners.
He's a great 5,000-meter runner. The these races, these cross-country races, are 30K, 50K. They're not little sprint events.
Well, that is a big lead pack, Jim. I see 18 men. You can see Galen Rupp toward the back of the pack, nicely tucked in, has a long stride. Daniele Meucci is back there as well. And we've got 3 fellas from Kenya, Barsilius Kipyego, Jeffrey Yegan, and Vincent Yedor, who all have run under 1 hour in their careers. And they are in that lead pack with the group now as they make a left-hand turn. That little moto that you can see with the rider wearing the neon vest, that's the special elite moto that the elite field is supposed to follow so that they don't get confused whether it's a police motorcycle or some other type of vehicle on the course.
Exactly. They will point out the way as to which way to turn and which side of the street to be on, and try and keep them moving along.
So it's just remarkable here that all of these runners are still coming through the start line while our leaders are well down the course already, nearly halfway to the first 5-kilometer checkpoint.
I remember one year, many years ago, at San Francisco in the Beta Breakers, there were runners still crossing the start line when the runners were finishing in Golden Gate Park, 12 kilometers.
That's an enormous event. Why don't we take a second to talk a little bit more about Galen Rupp of the United States, 30 years old. He has 2 Olympic medals to his credit, and he's won the USA 10,000-meter title 8 times. But he's only run 2 half marathons. He ran the New York City half back in 2011, almost accidentally, because he was supposed to run in a 10,000-meter race in New Zealand, but there was a terrible earthquake in Christchurch, which canceled the race. And he shifted gears with his training partner, Mo Farah, and they came to New York. And he ran 60-30 there, despite falling down at the beginning. And then he did another low-key half marathon to make sure that he was qualified for the USA Olympic trials in the marathon, which he actually made his debut in the marathon. Here today, if he follows the lead pace that Yana has planned, he would pass through the 15K checkpoint faster than Todd Williams' American record of 42:22 from back in 1995, a record that many have tried to break but have been unsuccessful.
Well, that would be a nice feather in his cap.
Then, if he stays on that pace, he could pass through 20K under 56:48, Dathan Ritzenhein's American record for 20K. On Jana's schedule here, they're looking at 56:20 for the lead, which would be under that mark. So Galen could do that. And then, of course, the 59:43 that Ryan Hall ran back in Houston 10 years ago this January would be an amazing accomplishment here in Prague.
It would be. That may be a bit ambitious for today, given the fact that they're going to Boston, but it would be nice. It would be very nice.
So Galen has asthma that is set off by cold temperatures. So he has to avoid cold weather races, and the temperature here for him is just about perfect.
I think it's good conditions. You know, as I said, it's not a shady course for the most part, but the temperature shouldn't be a problem for a half marathon. And I think importantly, there's no wind to blow in their face off the river.
So that's Daniele Miucci in the very back of the pack, way to the left of your screen. He seems to be working hard to hold on. Jim, he had a terrible foot injury during the Rio Olympic Marathon to his left foot, where he broke a bone only 5 kilometers in, and he dropped out just past 10K. But he said yesterday at our press conference that his foot is healed. He just came back from a training stint in Eritrea, and he says that he's ready to run fast, and he's putting it out there.
You just saw a shot of those tram tracks. There are trams. There's a very good public transportation system in the city, but the tram tracks could be tricky if you step in one of those. You got to be careful.
I agree with you.
Other than that, this the road surface is good.
And there is Jana Moberly on the lead bike. We just saw a brief shot of her. Boy, these guys are really running.
That looks like that's the women's pack on the left.
Yes, it is. We just got a quick shot there of Violah Jepchumba wearing F1 from the back there.
And it looks like Joyciline next to her, yes.
Yes. Wearing F2 with the very short haircut. They have the same kit on.
And that's Jiří Homolach, I believe, just behind Joyciline, checking his watch.
Now, he should be checking his watch because I think that he was hoping to run better than his personal best of 1:03.50, and there's no way that they're running on a 1:03.50 pace. Although,
with Violah in the race, David, you can never be sure.
You can never be sure. Well, we're about 2 minutes away from the 5K checkpoint. I see Jana is looking at the field there and making sure that the paces are staying in front.
Oh, there's Mr. Bean.
There is Mr. Bean. Still haven't cleared out the start yet. Not quite.
This is a group for those who cannot run. These are children with injuries or illnesses that prevent them from being mobile, and these people take them through the half marathon.
Wow, it's almost like a track race. Look at how they're picking their feet up, moving their arms, and really rolling along. You know, half marathon running is much closer to 10,000 meter running than it is to marathon running. It's become a speed race.
It has. I see Galen still right in the middle of that group. It'd be interesting to see what kind of split they get at 5K.
Also in that group is the Olympic 10,000 meter bronze medalist, Tamirat Tola. You can see him in the back there wearing number 5. He's got to be looked at as a significant contender here. His personal best is 1 hour and 6 seconds, but he's run under 27 minutes for 10,000 on the track, showing he has much greater potential in this event. He's the world leader this year in the marathon. He ran 2:04.11 in Dubai.
Yeah, in January. So he obviously should be considered a factor. And you know that the Ethiopians tend to not help out with the pace, but he might very well be there at the end, should it come to that.
Here's a look at our women's race, or part of it.
The cameraman focusing on Jan.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful sight?
Running for those who can't. Is that still our lead pack on the left there?
Yes. I haven't yet seen the 5 kilometer split come up.
I haven't either. I'm trying to get it on. Let me try this.
We'll get that to you as soon as we've got it. Certainly doesn't look like anyone is dropping off. Jim, what do you think is the hardest part of this course?
Maybe up around 15K, because you're out there on the other side of the river. You're kind of away from the maddening crowds, and it gets to the point where you're starting to run out of fuel, and you've still got another 6 kilometers or so, 5 or 6K to go. I think that there are no hills to speak of. You know, you do cross the bridges, which are slight rises, and there are a couple places where you go under bridges where you have a little rise towards the end of the race. But there are no hills, and the amount of cobblestones is fairly minimal. So I think it's just the distance that tends to do the runners in at some point, especially if they go out too quickly. But given these conditions, we're down on the right side there with Joyciline pushing the pace, which I find a little surprising. She's pushing more than Violah.
Yes. Violah is not typically a follower.
No,
she
not at
likes to
all.
push the pace, so they must be really rolling. That would be my guess. Those men who are with them are designated pacemakers to help them in the women's race. Jocelyn really has a lot of movement in her upper body. See how much her torso twists. There's a tight turnaround here in the men's lead race. Somebody went through the cones. You're not supposed to do that. But I hope the course is measured inside the cones.
Leszek Skrbanek measures this course, and he's the race director as well as being an A-class measurer for Ames and the IAAF. So I'm sure he's got it pretty well pegged.
See, that lead pack now is a lot more strung out. Looking at the front there, that's Vincent Yedor, one of our sub 1 hour guys with a 59.55 personal best.
Galen's dropped back to the back of the pack. I'm not sure what that means at this point. Probably not too much, but it is interesting.
He's usually comfortable drafting and, conserving his energy as long as he maintains contact. I see Daniele Meucci is still maintaining contact there at the back as well.
Right. They're not that close to the pack, though. That concerns me a little bit.
I apologize for the lack of split data. It's not reaching us just yet. As soon as we have something for you, we will let you know. The course is pretty narrow here, isn't it, Jim? You can only have so many runners.
That's true in many of these old Central European cities. You just don't have the wide highways you might have in California or even New York, where you've got the West Side Highway or the East Side Highway.
Jim, that looks like Galen Rupp all the way in the back
Yes.
now.
Yes,
just
behind Danielle.
Right behind Daniele, yes. So maybe they'll catch back up, or maybe the pace at the front is just a little too hot, and they're looking for something a little more controlled. When Galen lines up for Boston on April 17th, that will only be the third marathon of his career. Remarkably, he won his first one in the Olympic trials and came in third in the second one in the Olympic Games. So I think he's already learned the event under coach Alberto Salazar. Here are our women's lead pack.
You know, Jocelyn did run in RAC a couple months ago, and she ran with Mary Katani, and she ran with Peres Jepchirchir the whole way until Peres put in that final move. And so it's not too surprising to see her up there with Violah. She very definitely a factor. Be interesting to see how the race turns out between the two of them. Obviously, Jordan Hasse, the American, would not be going with that kind of pace because they're running somewhere in the 105 area.
But nonetheless, Jordan could have quite a good day here in a personal best. She told us in her pre-race interviews that a personal best was on her mind. She ran 68:40 in Houston in January, and I was there that day, and it was extraordinarily humid, and that was a great effort under those conditions. And she said the moment the race was over that she wishes she could do another half marathon right away. But she went home, back to Oregon, in Portland, and put in the work, and now made the long trip here to be on the starting line in Prague. And it looks like a smart choice as the weather really is cooperating.
This in any case, there we see Galen and Daniela in the back of the pack there. They seem to have lost contact slightly, but only by a few meters.
We just saw Abraham Kipyedich in the lead group there. You had your eye on him before the race, Jim.
Yeah, he ran 27:30 or so on the roads here last year, and he's definitely one. He's probably one of the better RunCzech racing athletes. He's definitely one that I would think would be a factor in the final race.
Well, shifting back to the women, I see Violah Jepchumba right here with Jocelyn, who's out of picture at the moment, but is on the right-hand side. As they make this turn, you should be able to see her. There she is. Nope, there she is coming by. So that's still a two-woman race at the front with their two pacers. I think it's important to note here, Jim, that the pacemakers are permitted to finish.
Yes.
Once they finish doing their job, which I think is to 20K.
Yes, that's correct. They can finish as long as they don't interfere with the women. And even the men's pacers can finish. You know, a couple of years ago in one of our races in Olmos, Jeffrey Rono was brought over as a pacer by Wilson Kipsang, and was a friend and a training partner of Wilson. And he ended up winning the race. Wilson finished second and they both beat Dennis Cometto, who was back a little further. So it's not unusual for us to see a pacemaker cross the line in any case.
Right. And of course, a pacemaker by rules must be a bona fide competitor.
He must be in an entrance, that's
in the
right.
race. And must follow all the same rules as the other athletes. We're 24 minutes in now. And here are our chasing women. Brief shot there. Boy, I cannot believe how glorious
it's beautiful
the day is here, and the sunshine is just fabulous. Everything is bloomed around town.
Spring is here.
Spring is here.
Along the river. We just passed a few minutes ago. Now they're heading down towards the men anyway. There's
That's Eva Vrabtsova. in the center of the screen.
She has some company, it looks like. There's one of the Kenyans from Run Together, and I think there's another woman behind the pace setter.
Eva had her dog with her in the lobby of the hotel this morning. It's an enormous white fluffy dog. I'm sorry, I don't know what breed it is, but it was...
I think it's a Japanese breed, Akita or something like that.
It was very, very friendly.
Very nice dog, very well behaved too.
With her husband, who I believe is her coach.
Right.
And she said the dog will be somewhere out there today watching the race, looking for her on the course. I see she has quite a bit of kinesio tape on the back of her legs there. Maybe she's having some Achilles trouble.
I think she's used that all the time. She wore that in the Olympics, and she wore that here last year. So I don't think that's at all. That's, you know, runners, as you well know, have their habits. And whether they work or not, it's kind of like a golfer with his little ticks that he has to do before he shoots. So,
Jim, you've lived here in Prague for the last 10 years. How popular an athlete is Eva Vrabcová?
Extremely popular, but that's basically come in the last 2 years since she started running. You know, people realized what a good skier she was, and how she was a great athlete, and now she signed a contract to be in part of RunCzech Racing now, and you know, she's getting equipped by Adidas. I don't think there's any big money involved yet, but she's doing very well, and she's still improving.
Jim, we've definitely had some attrition in this lead pack. I think we're down to 10 men now, about. I see Vincent Yedor and Jeffrey Yegan there in the center of the pack, two of our favorites for the race. And they should be coming up to the 10K mark perhaps in a minute's time. Hopefully we'll get to see that on screen, and we can pick up a split for you. There are many bridges on this course.
6. Well, there are more than 6, but there are 6 5 that we use to cross the river 6 times. But of course, the most famous one is Karlovy Most, the 750-year-old stone bridge, which we passed shortly after the start, and we'll see again on the way back.
So they're going to make a left-hand turn off this bridge, and they'll hit the 10K mark just after turning.
That's correct. The Leggett Most.
Got a decent group of spectators out there on the bridge.
Well, it's good tourist weather.
It is indeed.
And Prague is a popular tourist destination for Europeans and Americans.
There's the turn. And I can't see it exactly, but the 10K mark is right about there.
Yeah.
And I see 28 low on the clock. So they're a little bit behind the pace, although not much. That's still a very solid 59:45 or so going through there as a finish time.
Well, they were looking for 28:10, so as you say, they're not far off that.
Not far off, no.
And I'm intrigued by this race. This is classic.
Well, it continues to be a two-woman contest here.
Hello. I'm on the air.
I really love the architecture in this city. It's just fabulous. And the way it's lit by this mid-morning sun makes it all the more appealing. The half marathon as a distance has grown extremely popular. Looks like we might have some movement in the men's race. Things are definitely strung out. Here we go. We were officially at 28:32 on the men's 10-kilometer split, so that's closer to a 1-hour finish time when you add the sprint in the last kilometer. And we have a move here in the front, and I'm pretty sure that's Tamirat Tola, who's away from the field here. And boy, he's really moving and has put a big gap on the rest of the field. Wow. That's quite a move there. I think that's Tola at the front now.
That's surprising because that is not typically Ethiopian in its function there.
Well, maybe he didn't think the pace was to his liking, and he has that personal best that's slightly over an hour and was looking to get into the 59s.
Well, he's definitely going to do that if he can keep this up.
Wow, he's really put some gap on the field. I'm counting about 8 seconds or so.
I'm not sure on that. I need to see that shot again. Beautiful aerials, but it's not helping us too much at this point. There's Galen from the rear. Miyuchi behind him.
So as we can see, the men are just over 11 kilometers and the women are slightly behind. There is our lead women's vehicle with the clock and our Sportisimo logo. Jim, Sportisimo is a big sporting goods chain.
Right, they're throughout Central Europe here, and they are a wonderful sponsor of this event for the last couple of years.
So there's our 2 leading women with 4 men along for the ride.
That's always the situation, and you can see they don't necessarily pay attention to the pacemakers. They're running their race. Viola's next to, not behind.
Wow, 30:05 is the women's 10-kilometer split. That is unbelievably hot. Let's see. That is well under world record pace.
Well, I told you, Violah is going to run. That's why I was so surprised that Joyciline was right there with her. But she ran at a world record pace down in rack, so, you know, maybe she's used to that.
So if that number was right, and it may not be, but if it was, they are really rolling along, and we'll either see something very special or a complete disaster.
Yeah. Crash and burn or rise up in victory. I'm not sure which.
You know, in some ways, Jim, I think this race punches above its weight. You know, you would think, looking at the cobblestones and the tracks, that it would not be a fast race. Yet, nonetheless, it's produced so many fast times over the years. And the statisticians say it's one of the fastest courses out there as we look at Tamirat Tola, who, wow, look at that lead.
He really busted it open. I don't know if he thought it was a 10K or what, but he's going for it.
Yeah, from the aerial shot, we can really see the distance he's got there.
This is like Jepkosgei's type of race where he just went. Because there you see the pack is probably, like you said, 8-10 seconds behind him.
So 6 men are trailing him, including the pacemakers.
That's right. And if they're doing their job properly, then they're still running very fast.
And assuming Tola's had enough
12K.
time to rest, that was 34:12 at 12K for the chase pack. Assuming he had enough time to rest and recover from the rack race, these guys have got to be worried that an athlete of his caliber, an Olympic medalist and the world leader in the marathon, is not going to be coming back.
He's got the wheels. There's no question about that. There's Abraham, who is one of my favorites for the pre-race favorites for this. But
it's always a bad sign when they start looking at each other.
Exactly.
You know, who's going to be taking this out and helping? It's always bad when you realize that you're running for second.
Yeah.
But you never know. In the World Cross Country Championships just last weekend, Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda tried to run away with the race in the middle, and he had an unbelievable meltdown and finished 30th, I think.
He looked like a sure thing a couple kilometers from the finish. I mean, he was not straining at all, or didn't appear to be. And then Mother Nature jumped on his back.
But assuming that the men's split was accurate, Tola is well within his ability to be running at this pace.
Well, there's one of the areas where they're heading uphill, so to speak, as they come under the bridge there.
He has terrific form. Look how clean that stride is.
Yeah, it
coming
looks
up that hill.
very
on the
good, very
cobblestone.
relaxed, very nice. Not straining at all. I think that's a big surprise, but not completely. I did mention him before the race in talking to some people as being he's got the credentials.
Jim, things have heated up a little bit in terms of the temperature. Our reading now is 15 degrees Celsius, and that sun is pretty direct.
The sun is direct, but 15 degrees is not all that bad. I don't think, as you were saying the other day, for a half marathon, that should not be a problem. They might begin to feel it if they were running a marathon, but here many of these guys don't even drink during a half marathon.
Although one of the coaches was telling me at breakfast today that he's teaching his athletes to drink in the half marathon when it is not their regular routine to do that.
Just past 13 kilometers now.
I'd like to put a correction out there that Tamirat Tola did run the world leading time in the marathon, but that was surpassed by Wilson Kipsang at the Tokyo Marathon when he ran 2:03:58, which was an event record there, so I apologize for that mistake.
Wilson's hoping to come back here in a couple of months to run one of our halves.
That would be great. He's quite an athlete.
And he has visited us twice in the past. There he goes under one more bridge, and he will come up on the other side for the only other hill in the race. Approaching 14 kilometers already with about 7K to go. He's about 2/3 of the way finished.
So the pacemaking schedule was 42:15 for 15 kilometers. We'll see. Obviously, the pacemakers are no longer leading, but we'll see where Tola is against that pace. And on the women's side, boy, they are really motoring.
Violah pays attention to no one. Pace setters, other runners, other women, other men, doesn't matter. And we have Tam Tam Batucada, our Brazilian drummers, still getting the pack going, keeping them going. Jocelyn's holding on to her, but
I don't know, Jim. They look good.
They do. They both look pretty good. But as you say, Jocelyn has much more movement on the upper body there, which looks a little tiring to me. I don't know.
That's just her style, though. I don't
Absolutely.
think she's falling apart by any means. Not at this point.
Far be it from me to make comments about a Kenyan runner who's 10 times faster than I am, or ever was.
You know, what's extraordinary now is how fearless the athletes are to go out at these paces, which weren't even dreamed of just a few years ago.
I wish we could do that for the Americans and for the Europeans, and just get them to start doing that. If they hold on for 5K and then maybe next time for 6K and keep improving that way, I don't know. But these Kenyans, they're used to running at altitude. They're born and raised at altitude. They come. This is a huge sport in Kenya, absolutely huge. It's a major contributor to the national GDP, I think.
Judging by that aerial shot, nobody is making up any ground here on Tamirat Tola.
He's on his own. It's either do or die for him.
He's on his own.
There's no pacemakers. There's nobody.
The last Ethiopian man to win here was Etsedu Sagaya, the course record holder from 2012.
It's something to do with you being here. I'm not
Perhaps.
sure what it is.
I have to say, he looks great. I did watch the rack race on television, and this guy knows how to run alone. He put in a lot of kilometers by himself in that race. He's a very strong athlete.
Dubai, not rack.
I'm sorry, in Dubai, excuse me.
I did not.
Those are now the two big Mideast races at the beginning of the year.
They are. Yeah, it was the women in rack that did so well, and the men in Dubai.
That is a lonely run for Tamirat Tola.
He's got the cameraman with him.
This is where mental toughness really plays a role in this sport. You have to be confident in your pace and stick it out.
But he's about 15K into the race, and
he should be hitting the 15K very soon. I think clearly the second group on right of screen are racing each other at this point.
Yeah, they're not going after him.
That is a long way to bridge up.
He's going to have to do it on his own, and if he has problems, they'll get him. But other than that, he's gone.
Of course, he could always come back to them. That is possible.
As you said, that happened to the Ugandan in Kampala this year. Just last week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he really shut down. It was painful to watch.
It reminded me of the '84 Olympics, Gabriela Anderson-Scheiss, who was a Swiss runner. I ran with her for the last 400 meters before she came out under the tunnel and onto the track, and actually wasn't even running. I was walking next to her just to keep people from touching her and so on. That was painful to watch, just as this one was. But he was much closer to the finish and managed to get across the line and helped Uganda to get a medal, team medal.
Tola just eating up the asphalt there with the bike in front of him. Looking for that first Ethiopian victory here since 2012.
Now Joyciline is doing the honors.
This could be significant.
It could be.
Jim.
It looks like a break to me. Maybe Viola's starting to suffer a little bit.
Yeah, Viola's stride is pretty open. She's playing catch up. The two of them sat next to each other on the dais in the press conference yesterday. They didn't make much eye contact.
Well, Viola's pretty quiet in public. She doesn't share easily. Jocelyn's a little more open, but yeah, I think you're right. This looks like a significant move here.
A lot of pressure to come in as the defending champion and course record holder.
Absolutely. And she was, in private, she was talking 105 That's what she wanted. But it may be Jepchirchir who gets it.
This is one of the lonelier parts of the course. Jim, I don't see many spectators in this area. They're going to go over, they already went back over to the north side of the river and are coming, I'm sorry, to the south side and are coming back down. But there'll be a big crowd for them at the finish here in Old Town.
See the lead vehicle with the press.
There's Barcelius Kipyego.
He looks pretty comfortable.
Fastest man in the field. He was very confident yesterday and said he was here to win.
He's run under 1 hour here twice. You know, he was second last year in this race, and then he set a course record in Usti. So he is certainly capable of running sub 1 hour, which means that Tola may be in totally new territory, as is Jepchirchir here on the right.
Well, we don't see Violah in the picture now, although she could be slightly behind. Sometimes that happens with the camera shot. But Jepchirchir clearly is our leader. That's Edwin Kiplagat, wearing bib 44, who is an official pacer for the women's race.
At 2 Czech men hanging in there, looks like.
We've got 45:38 at 15K. That is an extraordinary time. She is really moving along. That is well below world record pace, which is 46:13. We could really see something special here today.
Well, you know, if Violah can even finish at this pace, she's still going to have a good time, a time that would win 99% of all half marathons in the world. And look at Tola. He looks awesome.
well within himself. He has that nice, natural little bounce.
This is very similar to what Atsedu did years ago, you know, in 2012.
Got that wonderful posture. Look at his chin is up. He's not looking down at the ground at all. Just rolling along as he heads back toward Jan Pollock Square and one of the most beautiful finish lines in all of road running.
Oh, thanks. I had nothing to do with it, but it is nice. And, you know, it's a beautiful location, beautiful day. And we're heading for some very, very surprising but also extraordinary performances.
I don't think we're going to see a world-leading time here today. That's a pretty hot number, as we mentioned in the top of the show, 59:10 by Bidan Kuroki. And, of course, Tola here has no help.
No, none whatsoever, except Yana on the motorcycle there. And I'm sure she's encouraging him.
He's got a little more than 10 minutes of running to go. And he does not look like he's going to be folding anytime soon.
Oop, cameraman's doing a little Salvador Dali for us there.
Boy, I'm really surprised that one guy could run away from this field in the middle of the race.
No reason why you should be. You were here in 2012.
But the field here was very strong.
Yes.
Tola, great athlete, obviously, but wow, that's really something.
He certainly looks smooth. I don't think he will come back to the pack.
It's worth noting he had a $200,000 payday at that marathon in Dubai.
Well, he should pick up some nice lunch money here today.
And he's actually not such an experienced half marathoner, although he was 5th in the World Championships in 2016 in Cardiff, Wales. And on that day, it poured and was cold, a completely different kind of race than today. Boy, look at Jepchirchir. I don't know. She looks like she's hurting, and so that little look back.
Yeah, that's always a giveaway. But she always looks like she's working very hard.
But let's be clear, she was under world record pace through 15 kilometers. So that's a risky proposition, and maybe it'll pay off, and maybe it won't.
There's Violah, not that far back. If Jepchirchir weakens at all, Violah's definitely there and looking a little better again.
That's Isaac Motosio, number 41, who's another official pacemaker for the women's race. There's some controversy, I think. Some people prefer not to see men pacing women in races, but it is permitted by the rules as long as the men are legitimate entrants, which they are, and they all start at the same time from the same starting line.
Yeah, that debate is ongoing, and things may change in the future, but those are the rules as they stand.
So now at the global level, the IAAF is keeping 2 sets of records, records for all women's contests, and for mixed contests, you'll see the little MX after the mark in the database. But having men pace women has allowed women, I think, to discover more about their own potential and perhaps pull them forward into territory that they wouldn't have gone on their own.
That's true. I don't think Jepchirchir, or you can see both of them are running next to the pacemaker.
Yeah.
It's not like they're drafting, or really, in some cases they even pull ahead of the pacemaker. So I don't think in the case of these two women that it's all that significant. It's nice to have company out there when you're running for an hour. I'm sure they run with the men at home in Eton or wherever they're from in Kenya.
So the tall man in the yellow top is Xavier Chevier. He's an Italian with a French name, and I hope that he's giving Jepchirchir enough space there and not clipping her heels.
This may be.
Boy, she's digging deep. You can really see it in her face.
These are the kind of races you love to see, though, whether you have pacemakers or not, where she and Violah are duking it out amongst themselves. Tamirat, meanwhile, is on his own and really running well. In any case, they are both on personal best pace, both the men and the women leaders.
So in setting her world record at the RAC half, Peres Jepchirchir passed the 20-kilometer mark in 61:40. So that's the number that we'll be looking for here in this race because it would be possible to also set a 20-kilometer world record here on the course en route to the finish time.
You said her 20K time was 61:40?
Yes.
Okay.
These guys now duking it out for second.
The two pacemakers have disappeared.
Done for the day.
So, but we still have 5 men there, it looks like. Picture was breaking up a little bit.
I did see Jeffrey Yeagon there.
Now we have a breakaway of 2.
That's Josephat Tanui, who's making his debut at the distance in the RunCzech kit.
In his RunCzech vest. That's nice. He's definitely going to get a PR.
Looking that way. Exactly.
This is
Tola in no danger, though.
No, but they're coming along the stretch here where they will cross one bridge, turn to the left, and come back across the other bridge and head to the finish.
In under 4 minutes, we'll see our winner come to Jan Pollock Square in this beautiful sunshine here today.
Josephat opened that up very quickly.
Well, this would be a big result for him.
It would be
to
huge.
come in second.
He's still got a bit of running to do, though.
To be clear, Jim, the RunCzech athletes are not actually based here in
They
Prague.
do spend time here, though. They have an apartment not far from the running mall, and you know, the RunCzech offices, and they can come in here and spend time and go to a race in Germany or the Netherlands or somewhere and kind of spend a little time in Europe getting in some racing, maybe do a track race or two in the springtime.
Okay. Jim, looking at our course map,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tola will be making one more sharp left-hander to come on the bridge and back over the river. And then he'll be in the square and another left and then the finish straight.
Yeah, and the finish is only about 80 meters or so from that last turn. And there are big yellow signs which tell them each 200 meters in the last kilometer how far they have to go. So he will know what's left.
He just checked his watch, get a quick read on his position.
He's on the final bridge.
There's Jana raising her hand to make sure that he's going in the right direction. And there's that left onto the bridge. He's going to get a lot of cheers from the citizen runners on the other side of the roadway coming the other direction.
And also from the spectators along the bridge. As you can see, it's a pretty good crowd there watching the event.
Wow, that group really broke up.
It did, completely.
There's Barsilius in the middle. But he's going to have a tough time getting on the podium, Barsilius Kipyego. But here's our man for the top step. There's the left-hander.
Definitely PR territory.
Coming back into the square. He's looking great, and he is going to break an hour for a big personal best.
He's on the blue carpet, and it's Tamirat Tola.
Boom. Unofficial 59:37.
Good effort from him.
Oh, he's hurting a little bit. A full effort there. Terrific. And just within a few seconds, we might see a terrific sprint here for second place.
Josephat is trying to get some invites to some other races here.
So Joseph Atenui and Jeffrey Yegon are on the bridge, heading back toward the square. They are not going to go under an hour. But Josephat is only seeded number 29. Well down the list.
RunCzech Racing.
Got a few steps now on Yegon.
All right.
He's on the blue carpet.
He's heading home. Nice little paycheck for your first big half marathon.
A terrific first effort in the half for him. And here comes Yegon.
I'm a little surprised at the, the quality of the race. That was definitely there. The weather conditions were good. That we didn't get more guys under an hour, but that's racing.
Jim, I think we have 6 home now, and we're waiting for Galen Rupp.
Galen and Daniela and a few others, about 11,000 others.
I think this is finisher number 8 at 61:30. That's Hiskell Twelde. There's number 9 and number 10. I think that was one of our pacemakers that finished, Jim.
As we said earlier, they are able to do
Here's
that.
Galen Rupp.
Galen.
A very solid 101.58, 59 or so.
Just under 102.
Remember that he is training for the Boston Marathon. That is his primary goal. He's not run a race of any kind, as we watched Daniele Meucci come in.
102.17.
102.17. And he hasn't raced since November, and today was a rust buster for him.
It really was.
And he could be completely satisfied with that effort. We don't know that. In 3 minutes or so, we'll see the top women come in, or woman, as the case may be.
Looks like Jocelyn's holding on.
Boy, Jocelyn is really pushing it.
There's Gigi.
Gigi is going to set a personal best.
But he won't get under 103, which was his his stated goal.
He had a personal pacer there all the way to the line. And that is a personal best for him. 63:23 or so. Crowd loves it. He just did a big training trip to Kenya.
He's going to have to go back and train some more.
He had quite the suntan when we saw him yesterday. He spent a lot of time out in the sun.
He really enjoys it there. That's his second year of going back there.
So here's the women's lead vehicle coming over the bridge. I can hardly believe my eyes, but we're at 63:50 now.
She's ahead of that vehicle, by the way.
We are going to see a world record today, unless something happens.
And there's Viola. Viola's going to run a super timer herself.
Remember, the mark is 105.06.
And she's on the bridge. She's halfway across the river. She's across the river. She is hurting.
Jim, can she make it?
I hope so. This is so exciting.
She's going to become the first woman to go under 65 minutes in a half marathon.
Extraordinary. Go Jocelyn.
Boy, that is a full effort if I ever saw one. In she comes. Breaking the tape at 104.52. A pending world record. and likely a world 20K record. Before that, we don't have that number, but that is very likely. That is an amazing run on a beautiful day here in Prague.
They really took the spotlight away from the men. And here comes Violah. 105, a PR
Which,
for her.
can you imagine, 105.23 didn't win. Wow.
She's about to lose her breakfast here, I think.
That is incredible.
This was a great day for Tamirat Tola, for Jocelyne.
She gives a hug to her pacemaker.
Jepchirchir, and to Violah Jepchumba. Viola's disappointed, I'm sure, but 105.23 is nothing to be really disappointed about.
It's really unbelievable. There's Jana Moberly. There's Davor Sevilla, her manager, who's got to be a happy guy right now. Surely she has a bonus in her contract for a world record.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I think she has, you know, some money from Adidas. I don't know. Oh, this is so nice.
According to my prize money sheet here, she not only made the 6,000 euro for winning, there is a world record bonus of 60,000 euro on the line, another bonus of 25,000 euro for sub 106.30, and she picked up, I believe, one more bonus of 5,000 euro for breaking the course record. So that is a heck of a payday.
100,000+
here in Prague.
Euros, 100,000+ euros.
Here comes Jordan Hesse
for a half marathon.
coming over the bridge. She's on the left of your screen, behind Andre in the yellow singlet. There she is. Those are her legs.
So all the women are doing extraordinarily well.
We'll see what kind of time she's putting in. Our running clock is not on screen right now. Jocelyne posing for the photographers. It's Gladys Chasir, I think, on the left.
Yes.
And we're at 107.43. Jordan's going to be in the low 108s. Here she comes. Oh, and she is going to break 108.
Yes. We talked.
107.56. That's a heck of a run for
we
Jordan
talked
Hesse.
about a 107. Why not, you know, on a day like today?
You know, Jordan was a reasonably successful track athlete after college, but it looks like she's really found her feet, her footing, I should say, on the roads.
Yeah, and her niche is definitely on the roads. Her coach, Alberto, moved her to the half, and eventually in 2 weeks, in 16 days, they'll be in Boston running her first marathon. So a great day for the women.
An unbelievable day for the women.
Surprising day for the men. But I'm sure a lot of people like Jana, for example, and Carlo Capalbo will be very happy with the results today.
Here's a little replay of Tamirat Tola giving a textbook lesson in how to run a half marathon.
Yeah, his form is great. You can't fault that.
He was a little bit perhaps dissatisfied with the 10K split and decided to run away.
But
and
he
got a big personal best.
Got a wonderful personal best. And there goes the pack. Well, it's a good day for a lot of personal bests for people back in the pack.
As we look at the second page,
Galen
Rupp was 11th.
101.59.
And Daniele Miucci right behind him. So Galen's personal best from New York remains.
Yes.
His personal best.
Yes. I'm sure you're happy about that.
I just wanted to see him do well. I have to say that this is an extraordinary run by Jocelyn, by any measure.
Absolutely. As you said, the first woman under 105. It's just mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. And of course, here in Prague, an IAAF Gold Label race, the course is perfectly measured.
It's
and
absolutely certified.
from what we could see on screen, she did run the course as certified.
And a happy day in Prague, folks.
There's our
105.22 officially
women's results
for Violah, which is, you know, personal best.
And Jim, now there's 11,300 more people to finish.
I think so. And there
perhaps
comes
more.
Eva Dropskova.
There's Eva.
Hopefully she can get a personal best. I'm not sure. We need a clock in order to tell. I think not. I think it's about 111 right now.
The Czech record is 111.06. I'm not sure where she is against the clock right now.
I think it's about.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I do know. It is past that time.
Yeah,
it
it's
is
111.16.
So not going to be a Czech record today. Which is her own record, by the way. But nonetheless, a very good run. And the home crowd got to be pleased to see her coming in there.
She's coming off of her skiing training. She skied a race recently, but this was not. This was probably disappointing for her, I think. She will get some money for her first Czech finisher, and will have to console herself with that, but she did not get the time she was looking for.
That's 10,000 krona.
Yeah, which is about $4,000.
Okay. That's Gerard van de Veen, an athlete manager.
He's her manager now.
And he's managing her now. Very good. So many more runners to come in.
But I don't think they mind. They're having a nice day out there. Nice sunny day. But you can see that the numbers preclude, because of the width of the roads and so on, preclude really doing 20,000 or 30,000. You can't be one of the mega races here in Prague, but you can be one of the finest races.
Yes. And looking at these athletes who are running on the right-hand side, they have a long way to go. The theme of this year's race, Jim, is all runners are beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I have to agree with that.
It's Olga from Ukraine, I believe.
Skripek.
She's about at 113 something. Today. Finishing up.
She's a little off her personal best of 113.09 as we come in more like just under 114 today.
Right.
She looks good though, good form. Perhaps she's also in marathon training.
113.50. One of the requirements of being a gold label race, of course, is having gold label quality runners from 5 countries minimum. I think Yana told me that she had runners from 6 countries this year. But you know, you can always count on the Ethiopians and the Kenyans and a few of the other countries, but it's hard to get Europeans that are of that quality. There just aren't that many of them. So she had Olga, who had some standards, either from finishing high in a world championship event or having a time which qualified her in the last 36 months. But those standards probably will be changing. Carlo Capalbo is the president of RunCzech, is also the chairman of the Road Running Commission for the IAAF. And they're working on rules along with SEBCO and all of the IAAF officials to revise those label requirements.
So if you're on Twitter, you can follow the hashtag Prague Half, and there are quite a few posts coming in under that hashtag, including one from our friends in the States at runnerspace.com, who point out that Jordan Hesse is now the third fastest American ever with that time.
She just passed Emily Sisson, who ran a couple of weeks ago in New York and was the third fastest, if I remember correctly.
Well, Emily made the fastest debut by an American.
Yeah.
So
she broke Jordan's debut time, and so Jordan returned the favor today and got her personal best.
Did you think we would see a world record today?
I did not. I am dumbfounded, completely surprised, but amazing to watch that. I really, it's thrilling. I wish we would have had a little better split times on our screen, that we would have known just how fast she was running. You had been able to tell something, but it wasn't sure until we saw that finish line clock.
Well, to be honest, I was having a hard time believing the 10K split.
Right.
Which was 30:05, as I recall, which seemed completely impossible. Just last night in California, in Palo Alto, the Stanford Invite, which is one of the better distance track meets in the United States, and the winning woman, Anna Rohr, in the 10,000 just broke 32 minutes, which was a good time. Absolutely. And here Jocelyn was running nearly 2 minutes faster than that, then ran that distance again, and then ran a little more to make up another 1.1 kilometer to get to the finish line. And it shows you how extraordinary the level is now amongst the top women.
Yeah. And, we tend to get those women here. Peres Jepchirchir, the world record holder, Jocelyn, who's now number 3, and the new world record holder, and Violah, who's 105.51 from last year, seemed extraordinary. I wasn't even sure they would break that today, and then they both do that. It really does. It's hard to equate that to anything. The men ran slow in comparison.
They did. So we're just getting ready now for the award ceremony for the podium finishers, and here we are with the men's ceremony. That's Jeffrey Yegon on the right, and on the left, our debutante, Josephat Tanui, who had the race of his life.
Absolutely.
I think it's safe to say. And Tamirat Tola adds to his collection of titles, now a victory at the Sportisimo Prague Half Marathon.
And adds to your collection of Ethiopian victories in Prague at the half.
Yes, first one since 2012. See a nice new Volkswagen there on the left. They're a big sponsor of RunCzech.
A very big sponsor. They help pay that prize money that these guys will get. A long-term sponsor, too, for many, many years. They needed some good public relations this year.
Here's the giant key coming around.
Unfortunately, the giant car hasn't arrived, but just the giant key.
But we want to make it clear to our viewers that the winner does not receive a car, but he gets the key nonetheless. That is one big key.
Yeah. The Gulf won't even hold that in its trunk, I think. Ethiopian national anthem. First time we've heard that one in a while.
Tamirat Tola, your 2017 Sportisimo Prague Half Marathon champion at a time of 59 minutes and 37 seconds, a personal best for him.
The last time we heard that Ethiopian national anthem was 2 years ago for Worknesh Tegefa. And our string of Kenyan winners, men's winners, was broken here today.
Jim, that is the 4th year in a row that the winner broke 1 hour here. And in the last 6 years, in the last 7 years, it's happened every year but one.
Yeah. And I was surprised we didn't get more under 1 hour this year. The other guys, they just didn't go with him, you know. They let him go, and he got the race, he got the record, or his personal record at least, and deserved the win.
Jim, is Jocelyn's world record here the first in a RunCzech event? At any distance, you have a portfolio of events here.
Yeah, it is. It's just huge. It's huge for the RunCzech name and for the Prague name and for Carlo Capalbo and Jana and all the people that Waszek Skrivanek, the race director. It's huge for all the people here in the city, and we'll bask in Jocelyn's glory.
And of course, this event, being an IAAF Gold Label race, has drug testing, which will take place immediately after the finish as we watch our women's podium ceremony. Fancy Chemutai, I don't think was looked at as a likely podium finisher today.
Violah definitely was. She's disappointed. You can tell. Look at her. But
in fact, it was Fancy's debut at the distance.
We had a couple of good debuts today.
Wow, that's a big step for her to get up after running 21.1 kilometers.
There should be an intermediate step behind that. You mentioned that this race has drug testing, but we had also WADA come in 2 days before the race and do some testing of about 8 athletes. So it, as a IAAF Gold Label race, as you said, there's testing this week before and after the race.
So the top athletes here will be subject to both out of competition and in competition testing.
And they used blood testing, which is, a little more accurate than the urine testing.
Boy, Jocelyn Jepkosgei has got to be thrilled with her run today.
Fancy got some fancy flowers.
Jocelyne is only 23 years old as we listen to the Kenya national anthem. Jim, according to Stephen Mills, who's a journalist and statistician that I trust and respect in England, the splits that Jocelyne put in, 3 of them are world records. 30:04 at 10K, but I don't think the 10K will make it on distance, but maybe I'm wrong. Actually, it would be close enough according to our map, so she may have gotten the 10K world road running record as well. 15K 45:37, 20K 101:25. So she may have set, because records have to be ratified, 4 world records here today on the streets of Prague.
Amazing, amazing run. And she has Violah to thank for part of that, because they were, they were pushing one another the whole way probably to the last 2 or 3 kilometers. A beautiful day in a beautiful city, and some beautiful women ran a beautiful race.
Well said. Well, Jim, we're almost done here for the morning in Prague, and I couldn't have asked for a better race. Thousands and thousands more still coming in. Many, many personal bests today, I'm sure. Thousands of personal bests in this field of runners.
Happy runners on a happy day.
Enjoying the wonderful hospitality of the Czech Republic here in Prague.
On April Fool's Day in 2017.
So David Monty here in the booth with Jim Moberly, saying so long from Prague.
Aloha.
Aloha.